The mud was cold. It always was. But today felt different. You couldn't feel the tips of your fingers. There was something inside your boot. You didn't look. You didn't want to. Because if you looked, it became real. And if it became real, you had to keep going. You kept going. February 1916. Verdun, a small city in northern France. Nobody wanted to live there, but everyone had to disappear there. Or at least, that's how it felt. You leaned against the wall of the trench. The earth was damp and cold. You felt it against your back. That was good. It was the only real thing right now. A few yards away, someone was screaming, "Stop. Keep going. Stop. Keep going." The sound didn't bother you. Nothing did anymore. Your name was Jean-Paul Mercier. You were 23 years old. That information didn't feel like yours anymore. Like it belonged to someone else. Like someone else was 23. You were just here, in the mud, waiting. You were from Lyon. On the south side of the city, at the corner of a narrow street, your father had a bakery. The door was wooden, yellowed. It always creaked. But when it opened, warm air hit your face from inside. The smell of flour. That heavy, sweet smoke of bread baking. Every morning you were up at 4. It was still dark outside. The streetlights were on. The cobblestones were wet. The sound of your footsteps echoed down the empty street. Those mornings were hard, but they were warm. Now there were no windows, no streets, just earth, and up above. You couldn't go up. Up above was disappearing. Everyone knew. Nobody said it, but everyone knew. The first time you came to the trench was 8 months ago. End of August. The air was still warm. That was a strange thing when you thought about it later. Sweating inside a trench, feeling the heat of the ground. Now, even remembering that warmth was hard. It felt like a memory from another world. Back then, there were 53 of you. Now, 31 remained. You didn't want to count the missing 22. Because when you counted, their faces came back. And when their faces came, their voices came. And when the voices came, the past came. And the past was the heaviest thing in this trench. Heavier than the mud. Heavier than the hunger. The commander's name was Captain Arnaud. Around 50. Gray mustache. Hair combed left to right. Never changed. Every morning, he looked exactly the same. His uniform was muddy, but neat. His voice never shifted in tone. Never rose. Never fell. And that both calmed you and frightened you, because nothing could stay that steady. Something had to change. It hadn't. Not yet. The first light of morning wasn't visible from the trench. You saw the sky only as a thin strip. Gray. Always gray. Cloud, smoke, or dust. You'd stop trying to tell the difference. It didn't matter. They all led to the same place. They covered everything above you, blocked the light, and you stayed down below. The last of your bread was gone last night. The supply convoy hadn't come in 2 days. It was late. No reason given. None needed. Everyone had their theory. The convoy had been bombed, or it got lost, or it was never coming at all. All 3 options led to the same place. Something tight was wedged inside your stomach. Was it hunger or something else? You'd stop trying to tell the difference. And the man beside you was Gaston, 30 years old, from Bordeaux. Just like you, he had a completely different life before the war. He'd mentioned it once. It was a small thing. He said, "I have a child." Once. Just once. He never said it again. But every morning he did the same thing. He pulled a small piece of paper from his pocket, looked at it, and put it back. Not quickly. Very slowly. Like the paper might break. Like whatever was inside it might leak out. You never asked what was on that paper. You wouldn't ask. You couldn't ask. Nobody asked here, because the answers were too heavy, and you had no room left to carry heavy things. The trench had a daily rhythm. Early morning watch, then waiting, then more waiting. The difference was obvious. In one, your rifle was ready. In the other, you set it down. But the waiting itself never changed. Some afternoons, the artillery would quiet down. A brief silence. 5 minutes. 10. In that time, some of them would try to talk. But the words wouldn't come. Or they'd come out wrong. Like language itself was rotting in the trench. Not just the bodies. The words, too. Once, someone brought up a cafe in Lyon. Even gave the name. A small place on Rue de la République. Good coffee. Butter pastries. That was all he said. He stopped. Couldn't go on. Silence came. Everyone looked away. That was the hardest silence, because it held everything. Lyons and Bordeaux and Marseille. Small towns, streets, doorways, voices. All of it was trapped inside that silence. Pressed in. Couldn't get out. It was probably around 8 o'clock. You'd lost your watch. You didn't know when. And one day you'd taken it off your wrist. You couldn't remember why. Maybe it had gotten too heavy. Maybe you just didn't want to know the time. Knowing the time was dangerous, because it meant asking, how long has this lasted, and how much longer will it go? You didn't want an answer to that. The sound of artillery was coming from the left. Always from the left. You'd once tried to figure out why it always came from that direction. There had to be a logic, an explanation. But you'd stopped thinking about it. Direction didn't matter anymore. Every direction was the same. Every sound was the same. Big or small, near or far, every explosion landed in the same stomach. The stomach clenched. It passed. You kept going. At night, the ground shook. That was a strange thing. The ground was solid. It was supposed to stay still, but it shook. The distant blasts sank into the earth, and the earth carried them, up through your feet, your knees, your lower back, your spine, like the ground was warning you, but it never told you what the warning was for. On the afternoon of the second day, a messenger arrived. He was young, maybe 18, maybe younger. His face was caked with mud, but his eyes were clean. Clean eyes were rare here, because clean eyes meant you hadn't seen it yet. And here, everything was shown to you eventually. He approached Captain Arnaud, leaned in slightly, said something. His lips moved, but you couldn't hear. Was the wind blocking it? Or was there too much noise? You didn't know. You watched Arnaud's face. It changed. It was a small thing. Maybe no one else would have caught it. But you did. His shoulders dropped slightly. His jaw tightened a little. His eyes closed for just a moment, then opened. The messenger left. Arnaud turned. He looked at all of you. At once, he pulled a piece of paper from his pocket, looked at it, put it back, said something. 2 words. Tomorrow. Attack. 31 shoulders dropped at the same time. No sound. Nobody said anything. But everyone felt it at the same moment. There was no word for that feeling. Not in English. Not in French. Maybe not in any language. Because that feeling only existed here. In this place. In this ground. In this trench. That night was long. You sat in the corner of the trench. Knees pulled up to your chest. Cold stone pressing into your back. You thought. You thought about Lyon. The bakery. When you got up at 4 in the morning, it was dark outside. No one in the streets. Just you. The sound of your own footsteps. And a dog somewhere in the distance. The same dog every day. Same time. Same sound. Back then, that routine felt boring. Now you'd give everything just to hear that dog one more time. Gaston was across from you. The paper was in his hands. But he wasn't looking at it. Just holding it. Eyes closed. Was he sleeping? Or pretending to sleep? Tonight it was the same thing. You looked at your hands. The skin was cracked. Under your nails was black. There was a wound in your palm. You didn't know how long it had been there. It didn't hurt. Not anymore. You thought about how these hands used to knead dough. How they used to open the bakery door every morning. How they used to carry bread. What would these hands do tomorrow? They'd hold a rifle and walk forward. There was wind. It moved over the top of the trench. You could hear it, cutting through the earth, through the barbed wire, slicing through the air. Constant, flat. But it belonged to this night. Only this night. You heard someone whispering. You couldn't see who. It was dark. But the whisper was real. Was it a prayer? Or something else? You couldn't make out the words. But there was a rhythm to it. A repeating rhythm. And for a while that rhythm closed everything else out. You closed your eyes. Lyon wasn't in your head anymore. The bakery wasn't there. Just that rhythm. And you didn't fall asleep. You stayed between sleep and waking. Between mud and earth. Between yesterday and tomorrow. You stayed there. Morning came again. It was still dark, but it had changed. Different from the darkness of night. It was thinning. The darkness of something coming to an end. Light would come soon. And with the light, everything would be visible. You didn't want to be visible. But wanting didn't change anything. You readied the weapons. Metal sounds, click, clack, small sounds. But this morning, those sounds were enormous. Every metallic sound landed in your stomach. Every movement of preparation landed in your stomach. Gaston took out his paper. This time he didn't put it back. He held it. In his hand. Open. Just held it. You understood. He wasn't hiding it anymore. Because maybe there was no tomorrow to hide it for. There was only right now. And right now, the paper was in his hand. Visible. Real. Arnaud came. Nothing in his hands. Just himself. He looked at you. This time, one by one. A separate look for every face. Not long. 1 second. Maybe 2. He looked at you. He was inside your eyes. Searching for something. You didn't know what. But he kept going. Moved to the next man. The next. All of them. Then he turned. Looked ahead. The first light of morning had come. Gray. Always gray. The signal came. No words. Arnaud raised his hand. That was it. One hand. It went up. It stopped. And everyone moved. You climbed out of the trench. In an instant, everything changed. You crossed from a closed world into an open one, like a door had swung wide. But the door didn't close behind you. You were suspended in the middle. Neither inside nor outside. Between both. In front of you was open ground. Brown. Black. Craters. Barbed wire. Shattered trees. The ghost of a place that was once a forest. Now the forest was gone. Only stumps remained, like arms reaching up from the earth, reaching for something they could never touch. You ran. Every step sank into the mud. Sank. Pulled out. Sank. Pulled out. It was hard. Every step harder than the last. But you couldn't stop, because if you stopped, you'd think. And thinking was wrong right now. The sounds started. From every direction. The ground was groaning. The air was shaking. A constant ringing in your ears. No way to tell where it was coming from. Every direction was the same. Every sound was the same. The man beside you fell. You didn't look at who it was. You couldn't. You only felt it. A person fell. A weight hit the ground. Then they were gone. You kept going. You saw a crater. It was wide, blasted open by a shell. Earth piled up around the edges. You jumped in, crouched down, breathed. Breath, breath, breath. You could hear your heartbeat, in your ears, in your chest, even in your fingers, like your body had suddenly become aware of itself. Every cell firing, everything at once. The crater was cold. Water had pooled at the bottom. Rain? Something else? Didn't matter. It was cold. It was real. You looked at your hands. They were shaking. Both of them. You tried to stop it. Couldn't. You thought about whether these hands could knead dough in this morning cold. It was a strange thought, but you thought it. Outside, the sounds kept coming. Explosions, screaming, metal, the earth crying out. How many minutes did you stay in that crater? You didn't know. Time had stopped, or it had sped up. You couldn't tell which. Then the sounds started to fade. Faded. Didn't stop, but faded. You lifted your head. Careful. Slow. The sky came into view. Still gray, but something had shifted, a little clearer. Maybe the wind had pushed the clouds. You looked right. Someone was in a crater to the left, not moving. You tried to see who it was. Too far. The mud-covered face wouldn't come into focus. You looked ahead. Move forward? Turn back? No orders. Arnaud was nowhere. Nobody was visible. Just earth. Barbed wire. Somewhere ahead, too far to see, but close enough to feel. The other side. They were probably in a trench, too. Maybe in a crater. Were their hands shaking? Should that thought have entered your mind? It shouldn't have. But it did. And once it did, it sat down. Didn't leave. Stayed. You stood up. Why did you stand up? You weren't sure, but you did. You walked forward. Every step was a decision. Left foot, right foot. Left, right. Keep going. You reached the barbed wire. It was torn somewhere. You went through. Metal caught your arm. It stung. A little. But it was real. Pain was real. That was good. And you stopped. You turned. You looked back. You scanned for where the trench was. Found it. It looked small. You had spent weeks in there. Days. Sleepless nights. Afternoons where no one spoke. And now it was a small line in the distance. Small. But it was there. You turned. You walked back. Every step was deliberate. Every step was a choice. Arnaud was at the head of the trench. He saw you. He didn't say anything. Just looked. That look. Questions in it. But they were never asked. They didn't need to be. You dropped back into the trench. The mud was cold again. Gaston was there. The paper was back in his pocket now. But a small corner was showing from outside. Just reminding him it was there. That was enough. How many had come back? You didn't count. But the sound had thinned. You knew that. Someone pressed a small piece of bread into your hand. Hard, old, but real. You took it. Started eating slowly. You chewed. Each bite took a long time. It had no taste. But it had something. Which meant it was real. The day passed. Night came. You were leaned against the wall of the trench. Sitting. Knees pulled in. Eyes open. You wanted to close them. But when you did, the faces came. The one who ran beside you this morning. The one who fell. You hadn't looked at who it was. But now the details were coming back. He was tall. His boots were worn down. The right boot had no lace. That's all you'd seen. Just that much. One person's right boot had no lace. Where was he now? You knew the answer. You tried not to think about it. You couldn't stop. The wind came, passed, left. A distant explosion. Then silence. Then another. Like a rhythm. But it wasn't a rhythm. Morning came again. The ground was still cold. You still couldn't feel the tips of your fingers. Nothing had changed. But something had changed. Inside. You didn't know what it was, but something was there. Yesterday, it wasn't. Today, it was. It wasn't weight. It was something different. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was habit. Maybe it was the small thing a person finds inside themselves, just to be able to stay somewhere. There was no word for it. Gaston didn't take out his paper that morning. For the first time, it was in his pocket. But he didn't take it out, which meant he could carry it now. He could carry it without looking. Maybe that was it. Maybe it wasn't. The Battle of Verdun lasted 9 months, February to December, 1916. Just this strip of land, just these trenches. France lost roughly 270,000 soldiers in that battle. Germany lost 230,000. Together, more than 500,000. A number, 500,000. A 5 and a 6, and then the zeros. But inside every number, there was a person. Someone from Lyon, someone from Bordeaux, someone from Berlin, someone from Frankfurt, someone from a small town, eating hard bread, holding a rifle with shaking hands, gasping for air at the bottom of a crater, coming back, or not coming back. Inside every number, there was a piece of paper, carried in a pocket, taken out every morning, looked at, put away. Inside every number, there was a boot. The right boot had no lace. That ground still carries those days. In some areas around Verdun, the earth still refuses to grow things. Trees won't take root. The grass won't hold. The chemistry of the soil has changed. The chemistry of the war has seeped in. The ground still remembers. And now, so do you. For these few minutes, you were Jean-Paul, 23 years old, from Lyon, who had a bakery, who knew the smell of flour, who climbed out of a trench on a February morning. Did you come back? We don't know. History wrote both endings. Some came back, some didn't. Both were real. Both stayed in that ground. One in body, one in memory. But you're here now. Some things can still be carried, even a century later, even through the mud, even through the cold, even without answers. They can be carried. We'll be waiting for you in the next trench. I don't know where it'll be this time. Maybe Rome. Maybe along the walls of Constantinople. Maybe much further back. Maybe much further forward. But it'll be the same. You'll enter. You'll feel it. You'll come back. Subscribe. Wake up in that place in the next story.